We had some pretty significant breaking news here from the NHL. The NHL has just ruled and put out a statement on the 5 players involved in the 2018 World Junior Trial. We now know if they can return and when and what kind of discipline they're facing from the league. All that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some pretty significant breaking news here from the NHL. We have a ruling from the NHL regarding the 5 players who just finished going through the trial here regarding the 2018 World Junior case for the events that took place in London, Ontario after the Hockey Canada Gala in 2018. Now, of course, we knew that Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly had made a comment because he was asked by reporters just not long ago at the media availability before the season here, saying that we should have something announced in the near future. And well, here we are. So essentially, the NHL has determined that these 5 players are going to be allowed to return, and we now know what kind of discipline they're facing, and they're also looking at when they can return. So the NHL has a long statement here that they put out, which I'll read through. But essentially, the players can sign contracts as of October the 15th, but they will remain suspended until December the 1st. So the statement from the NHL says that the events that transpired after the 2018 Hockey Canada Gala in London, Ontario, prior to these players' arrival in the NHL were deeply troubling and unacceptable. The league expects everyone connected with the game to conduct themselves with the highest level of moral integrity. In this case, while found to have not been criminal, the conduct of the players involved certainly did not meet that standard. Upon learning of the allegations in May 2022, the league commenced a third-party investigation into their conduct. The investigation was extensive and included interviews with every player on the team and several other relevant parties who were willing to meet with us, and is also examining hundreds of documents, videos, and text. The league paused the process in January of 2024 when prosecutors in London, Ontario announced that Mr. Dubé, Mr. Formanton, Mr. McLeod, Mr. Hart, and Mr. Foote would be criminally charged. In relying on both our own investigation and conclusions reached by the Justice Caracia in her opinion, and the players' acquittal, the league has determined that the conduct at issue falls woefully short of the standards and values of the league and its member clubs expect and demand. Each of the players, based on in-person meetings with the league following the verdicts, expressed regret and remorse for his actions. We believe their conduct requires formal league-wide discipline. We carefully evaluated the players' acquittal in court and the time away from the game, taking into account the players have been away for 20 months. We've determined players will be eligible to sign contracts on October the 15th and will be eligible to return as of December the 1st. And of course, the league goes on to say that they certainly expect that the conduct of these players meet the standards of the league and the teams basically moving forward for the rest of their careers. So essentially, there's also a statement from the NHLPA acknowledging here that they're happy that their members are allowed to return to work. Obviously, we know that it's their job as the union to fight for their members. So I'm not surprised that they're backing them. They seem to back every player in pretty much every scenario that we've ever seen. Although this is a pretty unique statement. Now, one thing, though, that I will say, I suspect at least some of these players will get signed. That wouldn't be surprising. We already know that Alex Formanton is signed in Europe, and his contract is only until December. So that tells us that maybe the players were already told this before this was announced. I'm not sure. But it certainly lines up that if he plays well over there, that he'll get another NHL opportunity. Now, right now, the Senators own his rights still. If they don't want to sign him, they could trade his rights to another team that does want to sign him. We had heard a lot of rumblings about Carter Hart and the Edmonton Oilers. Well, we'll see where that goes. Obviously, at this point, October the 15th is still, basically just over a month away. I'm sure there'll be some speculation popping up here and there if there's rumors about players getting interest from different teams. But I guess regardless of what we think about it, all of this, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a mixed opinions out there. Some people are going to be happy they're allowed to return to work because of the fact that they were not found guilty. Other people are going to find the behavior reprehensible enough that they don't think they should be allowed to return. But as the league puts it, they were not found criminal as much as these. You could say that even though they weren't found guilty, that the conduct and the behavior was far from meeting the standards that you would expect of really anybody, especially a pro athlete. So I'm sure there's going to be mixed opinions out there. At the end of the day, the NHL has made their ruling, and these players will have the right. Some teams are not going to shy away from this because they, some teams are notorious for taking on players with troubled past. Others are not. Some may not want to because of the PR stuff that's going to come with it. I don't know what we're going to see here. It's really difficult to say. But as of October 15th, they can sign contracts, but they will remain suspended until December the 1st. So they'll be able to play basically about a half a season. Or we'll probably just, because the first half of the season's pretty packed. Like I know when Shane Pinto was suspended for gambling, for example, he got half a year, 41 games. He returned like middle of January, I think it was. But that was a different season, of course, right? We didn't have the Four Nation tournament or the Olympics, so the schedule was just laid out a little bit differently. So yeah, it's going to be quite a few games still, but they'll be able to play half or a little better of the season coming up if they get signed. Now we will have to wait and see. Like I said, what happens here. It'll be curious to see what happens, but we don't know. So that's it. That's the NHL has made their ruling, and I guess we have to live with it from there. But the fact that the players have expressed remorse and regret to the league, I think it would go a long way for their character to do that publicly as well. Because like I said, I know there's a lot of fans that are not going to be wanting them on their teams and don't think they should be allowed to play. We've never seen any kind of apology out of these players. I mean, I know during the legal process, you really can't say much of anything, and you shouldn't. But now that process is completed and the NHL has made their ruling, I don't know if they've given the players any sort of, request, if you will, to do that. But I think it's something that they absolutely should do. Now that the criminal process and the legal process is over, I think they probably should, if they really are sorry and they really are remorseful for what happened, then they should show that, not just behind closed doors. So we'll see what happens. Of course, let me know your thoughts as always in the comments. Like I said, I expect a variety of opinions. I just want to see a respectful conversation taking place. I don't know. I'm kind of torn about it myself. I know that it's hard to say what the right punishment and the right discipline is. They obviously have been away from the game a long time, but I do understand the right for people saying that maybe they shouldn't be allowed to return because there was a pretty reprehensible conduct that did take place, regardless if it was criminal or it wasn't. So let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll talk further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. I will be back with another video later on today to discuss the rest of the news and rumors around the NHL. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.